Alright guys, there is a lot of information to cover versus keeping this interesting. We're going to talk about instrument sync and DAW sync on multiple computers using Vienna Ensemble Pro5, which I got for cheap because it was on sale right before VEP 6 dropped. To do these tricks, you need computers with Ethernet ports, and for a 3-computer sync, one of your computers must have 2 Ethernet ports. Here's my setup. I'll be using these symbols throughout the demonstration to help us keep track of computer screens in use. I recommend installing all of your non-Vienna, DAW, and VST software in 32-bit and run all programs on your computer in 32-bit. Or for 64-bit computers, install in all 32-bit and or in all 64-bit and run all programs in all computers in the same bit architecture. It's not a necessary step because Vienna does pretty good with cross-bit architecture tasks. I say it because I found out through trial and error, aka this video, that your computers will run the best that way. In this video, I've captured 21 screens to show you the 9 different ways 3 computers can be connected to each other using Vienna Ensemble Pro5, and also to share my Vienna experience with you. Of the 9 different captures, only 2 were captured without adding latency into the visual and audio mix because the screen capture software was 64-bit, and all the instruments and DAWs were also being ran in 64-bit. So there are 7 captures with varying degrees of latency, which I think is also important to see. The very, very bad latency captures will be recaptured using a camera of some kind. When I play each of these 9 captures, I'm going to be mentioning the name of each computer being used in the instance, the bit architecture of DAWs and instruments being used. I'll also be mentioning other things about each project. And we're going to bounce aka export each project and preview the audio generated in each computer setup. Real quick, how to connect. Finding IP4. If you don't know already how to find your IP address, connect the computers you want to use with Ethernet cables. In Windows, open Network and Sharing Center, click the blue Local Area Connection symbol, click Details. Your IP address should be listed and it normally begins with the numbers 169.254. In Mac, click the Apple symbol at the top left corner of the screen, click System Preferences, then click Network. Your IP address should be displayed and the numbers usually begin with 169.254. Connecting to a slave computer. With Ethernet cables connected, open VEP servers in slave computers, then open Master DAW, then open in VST instrument section of your DAW, Vienna Ensemble Pro5. Open the Vienna instrument window, then click Connect. If your computer address isn't popping up automatically, you can try typing in your slave's IP address manually, then select the bit architecture of the server on the slave computer, then click Connect. If still no connection, disconnect the Ethernet cable for about 3 seconds, then reconnect the Ethernet cable. Wait about 2 seconds, then click Connect again. Check to see if slave computer is detected by Vienna Ensemble Pro VST in the master DAW computer. Sometimes a computer restart is required if any of the computers in your setup went to sleep. Opening VST instrument. In Vienna slave computer, go to Select Channel, New VST instrument, then pick an instrument. Open VST DAW. In Vienna slave computer, go to Select Channel, New VST instrument, then pick a DAW. For multi-computer DAW sync to work, the slave DAWs you are using must be available in VST format. The VST DAWs I will be using in these examples are Machine and FL Studio. So if you know of any other DAWs that are available in VST format, please let me know. I'll also be using Logic and Ableton Lite as master computer DAWs from time to time. By the way, master computer DAW can be whichever DAW you want. Alright, here we have the PC laptop master running FL 32-bit, and it is slaving Machine 64-bit on the Macbook Pro. FL is running a sample along with some perks. Machine is generating the drum loop and the synth loop, and there is a gross speed on top of the FL master, so gross speed is going to affect the output of both computers. So in this instance, I'm previewing audio sample effects and VST effects on a loop that was generated using Machine on the Mac. We are going to bounce, and after this bounce I'll show you what the original loop sounds like. Here we have the PC laptop master running Ableton 64-bit, slaving the Windows tower that is running Machine 64-bit. I wanted to point out this example in particular because not only is it one of the two 64-bit captures, but with Vienna, Ableton and Machine are compatible. I don't know if there is an official patch to sync Machine with Ableton currently, but I know that this works. So in Ableton, we have selected a generic stock synth and duplicated it. One synth is being used as a reverb treble synth, and the duplicate sound is being used as a lower octave bass synth. In Machine, a factory drum group has been selected and the drums have been programmed. Anyway, let's bounce. Here we have the Windows Tower Master running FL32-bit, slaving Machine 64-bit on the Macbook Pro, and in this instance this loop was generated totally in Machine on the Mac, and I'm previewing effects on the PC. And there was some latency in this project because I was previewing a lot of instruments and different sounds on Machine, so it was running up the CPU. And let's bounce. After this bounce, I'll show you what the loop sounds like before effects. Here we have the Windows Tower Master running Machine 32-bit, and it's slaving the PC laptop running FL32-bit, and every sound is being generated in Machine except for the airy vocal sounding synth. That's being generated in FL Studio. The FL Studio synth was programmed using chord mode and arpeggiator mode in Machine. Hitting these chords in the PC laptop drove up CPU usage in this project and delayed some playback from the DAW. Alright, let's bounce. Here we've got the MacBook Master running Logic Pro 64-bit, slaving the PC laptop in FL32-bit, and all the drums and vocals are being generated in FL Studio 32-bit with tons of effects bussed onto the vocals, and the main synth is being generated in Logic Pro. And there are other things going on in Logic Pro as well. I've divided the FL signal into 4 other signals by bussing, and I've divided them into the low, low-mid, high-mid-high frequencies. And this is one of those projects where it was running really smoothly until the screen capture software came into the mix. So for those of you watching, this is not a very good or accurate representation of my workflow experience. So while we bounce, I'm going to show you this computer setup using the external camera I talked about in the beginning. Here we have the MacBook Master running Logic Pro 64-bit, slaving the Windows Tower running FL 64-bit. And this was the other example of the good capture when all programs are running 64-bit, including screen captures. Oh look, looks like we have a sweet sounding sync error going on here. Fear not a crash, just exit out of FL and it's all good. The automation going on in Logic is the flanger effect on the main synth, and the other low volume saw synth is being generated in FL. I'm sure you recognize the patch. And the automation going on in FL is the mid frequency of the low saw synth. It's me trying to compensate for the high pass filter going on in Logic Pro's main synth. So that's EQ automation going on. Anyway, let's bounce. Here we've got the first three-way of the three ways. We've got the PC laptop master running FL32-bit, slaving the tower that is running machine 32-bit, and the tower slaving the Mac, particularly a VST instrument called Addictive Keys in 32-bit. So it's currently DAW, and instrument. So there's no 3-computer DAW sync yet, but we are still using 3 computers at a time to generate this sound. Let's briefly go over what's taking place here. A slave DAW has the ability to act as a host, and with the second Ethernet LAN address available, Vienna is able to connect to the third computer in the setup. You have a master, then a slave that can act as a master, then you have a slave of the slave. So, let's bounce. Here we are with the second three-way of the three ways. We are running the Windows Tower Master running FL32-bit, and in this instance the tower has its own 2 slaves because it has its own 2 Ethernet ports. So the tower is slaving the PC laptop that is running FL32-bit, while also slaving the MacBook Pro that is running massive and addictive keys both in 64-bit. In the master DAW, I'm checking MIDI signals to the slave computers. We've got addictive keys and massive triggered at the same time whenever triggered in the FL master. And we've got the freeware synth being triggered within the FL slave. Not much programmed in either FL DAW during this project due to latency and other reasons too. Other reasons, like being able to combine both FL projects into one and use two computers without generating as much latency. Reasons like that, but I do it for the captures, the three-way computer sync captures, to show compatibility. But let's go ahead and hear this. Alright, we're gonna mute out some instruments here. Alright, we're gonna bounce. And I let that one play out because if anything happened, I guess my sample engine in FL isn't totally dialed in because whenever we play this, it sounds like the bass oversamples itself and it plays multiple times on top of itself whenever you hear the bounced version. So let's go ahead and bounce and listen to this, this blooper flop. Here we have the third three-way of the three ways. We've got the MacBook Master running Logic Pro 64-bit, slaving the Windows Tower running Machine 32-bit, and the Tower slaving the PC laptop running FL 32-bit. And this instance, I think, demonstrates the biggest latency of all the captures and is not an accurate representation of my workflow experience. What we've got going on here is not much due to latency. We've got a chime effect and a master low-pass filter going on in Logic Pro 64-bit. We've got the drums generated in Machine 32-bit on the Tower, and we've got MIDI being sent from the Tower to the PC laptop slave, and that's being used to trigger a freeware synth in FL. Oh, and after this bounce, I'm going to show you an effect, an old effect, glitch. Glitch is also at use here. Alright, and while we bounce, I'll go ahead and show you an example of what that looks like without screen capture software running. So I'll use the external camera to show you a more accurate representation of what this project looks like. about to pull up Glitch right now. Glitch is used in one of the inserts that is hosting FL within Vienna. So if I like the idea and I have the same effect on the PC tower, for example, and it runs less latency, I could go ahead and run Glitch inside of one of the inserts and machine that is hosting Vienna to try and see if it saves CPU processing power. And if you have awesome computers in your setup, I'm sure the issues I've been going over are not something that you're worried about. And I think that about wraps up this video.